Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at modelling is this kind of detailing here. Okay, to do that we're going to start by selecting one of the doors, hiding everything except for the door, and then we'll select these two centre polys here. With that we'll just delete that one. Remember, we're still going to be able to see the back there. Select this one and just attach it. And then we'll hide that selection, and then we're just left with this. And now we're going to use this to construct that detail. So we'll select the two edges from the top to the bottom and just hit connect, and we'll add in, well, let's first of all count how many there are. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 there, 2 there, 3 there, 4 there, 5 there, 6 there. Okay. F4 to go to wireframe solid mode. We'll just select each of these center points, and then we're just going to pull those out to there. So it might be good at this point just to unhide all, just to make sure that that isn't sticking out past that point. I mean, we would have the option of doing this with a normal map, but I think for this we'll stick with using actual geometry. Okay, so we'll just hide unselected again, go to vertex mode, and we'll just select each of these vertices here. Go to scale mode, and we'll just pull those down a bit. We go to my left view just so I can be a bit more accurate about it. And then the last thing we need to do is just join up each of these. So just okay, and to create those we're just going to use, if you go to polygon mode, just going to use create, and then if you click on each of the three vertices and make sure you go in counterclockwise direction, like so, to create them. Right, now I'm just going to stay in polygon mode, come out create, select one, and just clone it over. That will do 2, clone those over, hold turn on snap with S and just snap those into place. And select all 6. Rotate that 180 degrees. Snap it down to there, and go to vertex mode, Control A to select all, and just hit weld to make sure they're all welded together. Okay, so what we can do next is actually just clone this shape across. So we'll move the pivot to the center by going to the hierarchy tab, turning on effect pivot only, and doing center to object. And then we'll just drag this down, make sure it's on instance, and then turn on snap, and just snap that into place there. And then select both of these, clone them over, instance again, and just snap those into place. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is these side panels on the door. So again, we're just going to clone this over, we'll still instance this because we'll just scale it, rotate it 90 degrees, and then what I'm going to do on this one, if you go to your front view, it's going to effect pivot only and move it right to the edge here. Then going to turn on snap and just snap it into place. Yeah, that's correct. If we go to scale mode, we can just scale that into there. We're going to select both these objects and just do hide unselected. In fact, I hide that too, and we're just going to delete the two polygons in there, just so that, because obviously that other shape is replacing it. What we'll do in fact is just change this to kind of different colour. Okay, so select this again, drag down, OK on instance, snap into place, select both of those, drag them over, and we'll just mirror, that's that button up here, mirror, and we'll do that on the Y axis, and again turn on snap, and just drag that into place. Okay, so we'll probably add a bit more detail to those later, but we'll leave those as is for now, because obviously we've got the advantage that if we change one, they'll all update. So the next thing we're going to look at is the actual interior of the wardrobe. So we'll select all the door area and just group that together. We'll do the same on the other door. Like so. I haven't quite attached those into the group. There you go, now that's all in the group. And the same for those, group, attach, and just select that door. There we go. And just for this kind of tutorial, what I'm going to do is just move the pivot point. So if you go to your top view with T, hide unselected, and go effect pivot only, then you can just move your pivot onto the very edge of your door. Just more kind of useful to have them there, just to make sure everything's going to work correctly. Select the other door and just do the same thing. Move the pivot over here. Now unhide all again. Now if we select our door and go to rotate, we can just rotate the door so it's actually open. If you're finding that your pivot still isn't in the right place, that'll be because you've got use pivot point set to use selection center. So if it's appearing like this, just set this to use that one there. Okay, now we can see those doors kind of open correctly. Okay, so let's have a look at the interior of the wardrobe now. And one thing I'm just going to quickly do, just to give us a better view of this, is just select all of these areas here, all of these objects, and we'll just apply kind of dark brown to them, just so we're getting a better idea of what this model's starting to look like. So you can see the smoothing group isn't set correctly on there, so I'm just going to open the group and in edit poly, auto smooth. There we go, looks a bit better. As you can see, it's updated all the objects. Okay, so we're going to work on the interior of this now. So let's have a look at our reference imagery again. Okay, so you can see we have these three drawers here. We have the bar across the top. We could probably forget about these kind of little handles and things. and then we just have kind of empty area with a different kind of material on it. So what we're going to do is actually select our interior area. I'm going to tick on biangle and select this area. Let's just have a look at our reference imagery again. So we can see the wood effect continues kind of all the way around. So we only really need this in a bit. We're going to hit detach, and we're going to call this wardrobe inner. So select that object there. Now we're going to come into edge mode, and we're going to select that loop, hold control and hit remove. And we'll remove this one for now. Doesn't really matter, it's such a simple loop that you can always add it in again later. Okay, so we're going to select this loop here, and what we're going to do is use that for the drawers. So if we check our reference imagery, we can see it comes up to about halfway of that panel, a little under halfway. So we'll say around there. Okay, that's fine. And then we're going to delete these. And in fact, what we're going to do is, because I think if we just set the reference image again, these drawers are actually inset a little bit here. So let's swift loop, and we'll add a loop up here. So now our drawers are going to sit in that kind of area there. So we can delete all these polygons here and go to edge mode. We should be able to just select these two here and go to bridge, and that's where our drawers are going to sit. Then what we're going to do to actually save resources, we're going to have 4 drawers rather than 2 drawers and 1 big drawer, so we'll have 4 of the same kind of drawer here. So we need to select our edges here, and in fact what we'll do is we'll also detach this. So detach that, and we'll make a new object from this. We'll call this wardrobe drawers. So within this model, we'll select those 3 edges, and we'll just hit connect, add 2 connects, two loops, and we'll just slide that along to there. We'll select this set here, connect again, and we'll set that to about there. And then we'll need these ones here, connect again, and this time pinch them right down. And you can see what I'm doing, I'm just setting up that wood outline for the drawers. If I do connect one more time, just get that to there, and now you can see we've got our area for our 4 drawers. Now I'm going to select these 4 panels and just extrude those out a little bit. Now you could ignore, not bother with an extrusion here. You could just do that all with normal map, or you might want to model the actual drawers in. Again, that just depends on what the model is going to be used for, essentially. Like if the user is going to be able to go into the drawers to look for things, of course you're going to have to model them in. If they're going to open the wardrobe, of course you have to model this in. If we weren't going to open the wardrobe, we wouldn't even need to bother with this interior at all. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is just add in the kind of bar along the top. I'm going to go to my front view, I'm going to roughly place in a cylinder, Go to my left view with L on the keyboard and position that about right. Increase my height, and also just get rid, so if you probably have 5 in the height sections, if you have default settings, get rid of those and use your reference image to figure out how the radius of this object. Might want it a little bit smaller than that. I can probably put that down to 4 sides to be fair. One thing I'm going to do as well is just change the colour of this object to that, something a bit more similar to the final model. You don't have to do this, just something I like to do, just to some kind of roughly there. You can also use materials to do it. With this cylinder, let's apply an edit poly modifier and just delete the 2 end caps. Okay, so just want to make sure that cylinder definitely isn't poking out at all. So we'll go to our left view, select the cylinder. I'm just going to be a bit more precise about this. Let's pull that right into there, just avoid any Z fighting or anything similar. We'll pull that into there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is model the handles for these drawers. Okay, now actually this is something maybe to watch for when you're doing this kind of thing. Obviously this kind of antique Victorian furniture, like something to think about is the fact that the only kind of surviving stuff is going to be the really good quality stuff. So if you're making a kind of an inventor's room that's got a kind of you know, a poor feel to it, so he's not going to have very much expensive furniture, you might want to consider making furniture less ornate than this. Secondly, if you look at the handles on this, on the drawers, they actually look really new, don't they? They don't look like they were kind of the original handles, especially when you compare them to like the handles on the doors there. So maybe something you might want to consider is actually just reusing the handles we made for this. This point here, you could even use a less detailed version, but we'll stick with what we've got for now. So I've cloned those, and then I'm just going to rotate those 90 degrees. And I'm going to go group, detach, so it's not part of that group anymore. Go to my left view and just line this up near the top of the drawer there. We'll just make a basic box shape. I don't think we need anything more than that. You can make this more ornate if you choose. But this could even be done with just the normal map or the texture. Sorry, the normal map and the texture. And we'll select those two. I'm going to change the colour of those. Okay, so we're getting there with this now. One reason to actually change the colour of items, as I've been doing there, let's just do the same on these. One reason to change the colour is because you can actually use the tools, edit, select by colour. Then if I select that brown, it'll select all of those models like that. Can be really useful for kind of more complex scenes. One good reason as well to try out actually opening the doors is because you find little errors like this, where we can see here in our model we don't have enough model there, actually seeing a gap. So what we want to do is come to edge mode, and select that side, and just pull that back to there. There we go. Okay, so the last little thing we're going to do is just group these back together. And again, make sure you're on use selection like so, and we'll just close these up. And what we're going to do now is just re-edit this shape a little bit just to make it a bit more interesting. So this one here. There's no real reason for doing this, to be honest, at this stage, because later on we're just going to use the texture to define the shape of it. It's just something I want to do just to get more of a feel for how the final model is going to look. There we go, even if it's just something like that. Okay, so now we're going to add some more detail to each of our kind of the main body of the wardrobe. So we'll select one of these door panels and we'll just have a look at our reference imagery. And you can see like we've got this bar here, and we've got a bit of kind of more ornate detail in this panel area here. So we're going to come and add that in. So first of all we'll go to swiftly and we'll just drop a loop in there. And we'll select an edge. Well, in fact we'll use our select one poly at the top, one poly at the bottom, and go modify selection and go step loop. And then we'll go extrude. And that'll be fine, so I'm just going to do this one by hand. And then say pull that into there. In fact, maybe I should have beveled it, so rather than just undoing, we'll go to scale mode with R and just pull that in like there. Okay, it's got our little step in there. Let's have a look at how that looks with the other door. So it's these little small details that make kind of a big difference to a model. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is add like a rim around this area.